What's up? Today we doing sound. I'm going to be replacing all the factory speakers in that E46 BMW back there. That is a 2006 330 Ci convertible. That's my daily driver. Right now only one speaker is working. All the rest are fried. The amp is fried. So I got to replace it. I need something to listen to on the way to and from work. If you're interested in how to take the door panels off, how to take the side panels off, where the factory amp is located, how to bypass the amp, about the sound, all in just in general, I'll go over what's in the cars from the factory, what sizes are there, what replaces it, other options you might have. Just stick around, I'm gonna go over all that. First, let's talk the factory sound system. So from the factory, this one has the regular sound system in it. You get a speaker up here, down there, and then more in the back, like you can see right there and right there. This is the regular sound system from the factory. Over here, this car has the Harman Kardon sound system from the factory, but I can tell you now that they both sound terrible. Neither one sounds good, and that's why you're here, because your sound system sounds horrible. So in this car over here, I have the BAV sound speakers. They're plug and play in all the factory spots, and that was simple. You just plug and play. They actually have the same connectors from the factory. It takes no time at all to hook them up. And it still does not sound all that great. It's not what you're looking for. It sounds better than the factory system, but not much better. Over here, these speakers aren't working. And the reason they aren't working is because this car was in a flood. It was underwater for about a week during Hurricane Ida. Let me put a picture right there. And another one right here. Yeah, that's mold. This car was covered in water. It was underwater, flooded for 2 weeks. That's why I got seat covers in. Had to clean up the car as best I could. But with the car underwater, the water line was halfway up the door. All the speakers got wet and the amp got fried. So that's why I got to replace everything in this car. And I'm going to be replacing everything in this car with these Infinity reference. I got some 6.5s for the front and I got some 4-inch for the rear. And the reason I went with these speakers is because they're low wattage and I'm going to be running directly off the radio, and they're shallow mount. These speakers are shallow mount, and these cars are notorious for not having a lot of room for aftermarket speakers. You can't just buy any speaker and throw them in here. So I'm going to put these in. We'll see how they sound. If they sound good, I'll probably buy more of them and put them in the other car. Let's talk about the radio. I'm going to be running all my speakers off of this radio because I don't have an amp in the car. And this radio should do the job. This is an Eonon Android unit. This car had the single DIN in it originally, so I had to get the kit to move the air condition down lower, which made me lose my ashtray. That's fine. I got switches down here. That's for my halo lights in the front. That's for a light bar I have hidden behind my grill. And I'm running this unit in both cars. I could use my phone as a mobile hotspot, and from there I could use Pandora, YouTube, Prime Video, Sling, Pluto, Netflix, Hulu, Chrome, Maps, whatever you want. It's all here. Got the radio on there. I usually just have a playlist playing on YouTube and go with it. If your car had the single DIN in it, this is just plug and play right in the back of it. It's all your hookups are right there. The other car, I also use the same radio in it. I'm actually using right now, it's playing DDE on the screen. And this car came with a double DIN from the factory. So the air conditioner was already down low, everything was there. But with the double DIN, all the hookups are in the trunk. You have to get a wiring harness and run wires under your carpet and everything, all the way to your trunk. And it's under here. I'm gonna show you. You have to get the wiring harness and plug everything up under here. It's all underneath this. I didn't realize everything was a mess in here, but it doesn't matter. It's all covered up. But if you have the single DIN, it's plug and play. If you have the double DIN, you have to get a wiring harness and run everything to the trunk to make it work. So that's my radios. If you're looking for extreme sound, you're not going to get it by replacing all your factory speakers. In this car over here, I put the BAV sound speakers in all the factory spots. They're plug and play. They're better than the factory, but it's not that much better. So the only way you're really going to get an extreme sound system in here is to go extreme. You're going to have to change everything, build a speaker box, put sound in here, go crazy with it. You'll notice I'm 6'3". And there's no room in my back seats for a human. Look at that. People can't fit back there. And I got the wind deflector in my convertible also. Got it in both of them. But if you want an extreme sound system, you're gonna have to go extreme. I got a 112 here. I built the speaker box underneath there. I have 4 6.5s aiming up and some little tweeters right there. 4 6.5s, 112. I built me a speaker box, and all that's running off of one 5-channel amp in there. I tried to do this on a budget, basically. I'm not rich, so everything in this car, the sound system wise, probably all the speaker box, those speakers, the sub, and the amp were probably under $500. Put a picture right here of my speaker box when I built it so you can get an idea. It's a sealed box there. It hops over the hump. Everything sits level. But if you want to go extreme, you're going to have to go extreme. I'm not winning any sound competitions with this, but everywhere I go, I'm definitely the loudest and most annoying car there. You could hear me coming from blocks away. With that out of the way, let's move that car to my shed in the back where all my tools are and start taking it apart. In my shed now, it is very hot, and that fan is not helping a lot. But to take the door panel off, you have 5 screws holding it on. One screw is behind the tab right here behind your door handle. Another screw is behind this tab that says airbag. There's a screw in there. Then you have 3 at the bottom of the handle. 1, 2, and 3. And it should be T20s here and here, and Phillips down there if I remember correctly. But somebody changed my stuff throughout the years, and I know you don't want to sit here and watch me unscrew everything, so let me unscrew that and we'll be right back. Now that all 5 screws are backed out, the rest of the door is just held on by plastic clips that just push in. So to take the door off, you're just going to pull the door off. That's it. Now, a little difficult to do with one hand, but behind your door, pull that up, and you're going to have to unplug your speakers and your window switches and all that. You have a plug here to undo, a plug in there to undo, plug on the side of your speaker, and that's it. Once you get that off, your door is off. And I need 2 hands for that, so I'm going to unplug everything. Let's see. Yeah, I need 2 hands, so I'm going to put the phone down. I got the wires unhooked, and this is the back of the door panel. These are the little clips, I was telling you, the little plastic clips. They just push into the holes, so when you go to put your door back on, they'll just push right in. Then you put your 5 screws in and you're done. These screws here, you got 3 screws here, and the screw here, and here, and here, all these screws along the bottom. That's how you take your door handle off if you want to wrap it or paint it or whatever. I wrap mine in carbon fiber vinyl and my handle. So you have a set of speakers up here, just a couple of T20s holding it in, and a speaker down here. I'm going to throw that away. Here's your factory speaker, and I'm going to unscrew that. 3 screws holding it together, and the 2 up here. Let me take those out. So here are your factory speakers removed from the door. So the speakers are out, and that is a 6-inch speaker. I bought 6.5s. I hope they fit. They're gonna fit. I'm gonna make them fit. This speaker right here, I'm not gonna reinstall it. I'm gonna leave it out the car for now. And that's about a 2-inch, and then it's got like a 1-inch. I know I'm shaking you around. It's like a 1.5 or so. I'm probably going to see if I can find something to make work right there. I didn't like this anyway. That wasn't any good, but I'm only installing the speaker in the bottom. These 6.5s and place it as 6-inch. I thought these were 6.5 also. Guess not. I'm going to make it work. So here's my new speaker and my old speaker side by side. You can see the height difference there, so I know it'll fit in there shallow mount. And I'm looking at them. This speaker is actually the same size as that speaker. So when I measured it up, this is labeled as a 6.5, but you saw I just put 6 inches there. The screws don't line up to it, but it came with this bracket right here and the bracket will line up. I'm going to have to modify it, so I'm going to have to cut a little bit off right here so it'll reach the screw here, here, and here and go back together. So I'm going to have to cut the bracket, but these speakers are going to fit there just fine. So I cut the bracket. It used to look like this. It looks like this now, but now it's going to fit in there fine. Those screws will now line up. I'm going to need longer screws though because of the way it's sitting, but it comes with these little short screws, but I'm in my garage. I got screws, so I'm going to make it work. So it wasn't as easy to find screws in my garage as I thought it would be, but it's screwed on there now. It's in there tight. Over here at the door, I am going to cut the wires. I'm going to make note of the blue, white, and blue brown wires that are for this speaker. Brown is the ground in these cars, so that's the negative, and the blue, white is the positive on this one. I assume on the other ones it's going to be white stripes and brown stripes on different colors. I made a note of that because I'm going to have to bypass the amp, and I'll show you why in a little while. But I don't have any clips for those. I'm just going to twist the wire around them. But you don't want to see me put the door back together, so I'm going to put that back in the car and move on to the next spot. So it's been a bit. I spent a lot of time digging through car parts over there. One day I'll organize all that stuff. You're probably right, I won't. But while digging around, I did end up finding my little splices to put the speakers together correctly. And I put my driver's door back together, and I put the speaker in my passenger door. And since then I've taken the back apart over here. I was going to wait to show you this side, but I needed to know the speaker color, the wire colors over there. But I found that this speaker is too deep. It doesn't fit in there. But I'm trying something. I ripped the other speaker out of its basket. I'm going to try and mount it in place and use that to hold it in. You got to make things work. So realistically, this speaker that I bought is too deep. Will not fit there properly, but I'm hoping I can make something work. So realistically, it could have been a bigger speaker. It could have been a bigger speaker around, but it had to be shallower than that. And this was a shallow mount speaker. So I am going to make it work with this old bracket from the old speaker. I'm going to mount that in there, drill some holes into there, and use some long screws to hold it in place, and that should fit behind the wall. We'll see. I was more interested in showing you this side over here, and we'll get to that in a bit. So the bracket that I made using the old speaker basket worked out great. The real test is, will this fit back on there? And it does. So, not the right idea for you maybe, but it worked out for me. I'm fine with it. I was thinking of putting some really big speakers here and just building something out over the whole thing. But that's together. I'm going to take care of that side next, and that's where the amp is located, underneath those panels. So when I get over there and take it apart, I'm going to show you that. And by the way, that is held together by two 8mm bolts. Two 8mm holding that together. Once you put that together, you can just pull it apart and get to your speakers. Going to do the same thing over there, show you the amp, show you how to bypass it. I said I was going to show you the amp, and I realized as soon as I said it, I can't do that. The amp used to be located right there behind that bracket, but mine was all melted. The whole wiring harness and everything was melted. I removed it. I used to have an extra amp, but somebody in one of the local forums was looking for one, so I gave it away. Now I need one. But I can't, it was all melted anyway. The clip that plugs into the end was melted. But right now, the wires that come from the radio and the wires that go to the speakers are different colors. So I have to figure out which wires are which right here. That's why I've been taking note of the colors of the wires going into the speakers. So I'm going to put that speaker together, and I'm going to figure out which wires are what, and I'm going to tell you which wires are what. So I bypassed the amp, I put the speakers back together. I really didn't film that because, well, it was mostly just me touching wires until I figured out what was what. But here's a wiring chart. You could pause this right here, and if you ever have to bypass the amp, you probably won't. But if you're hooking up an aftermarket amp and you're curious about what speakers go to, what wires go to what speakers, now you got this. Also, that rear speaker was about 1.25 inches deep. So if you're looking for aftermarket speakers, 1.25 inches mounting depth is what you're looking for back there. I can't really give you a review because I can't play copyrighted music, but I got 4 working speakers now, and so all I'm doing is riding to and from work with this thing, so sounds good to me. I'm dirty, it's hot, it's late. Filming that didn't play out kind of like what I had in mind, but I really don't know what I had in mind. I just know I had to put speakers in that car. Hope y'all learned something, like speaker sizes, where the amp's located, how to take things apart, something, anything.